What's going on, everyone? We hope you had a great weekend, as it is a great time to be a trader right now. Bitcoin crossed above $80,000 for the first time this weekend, which was really cool to see. This is happening as other areas of the market, like Tesla stock, crossed above the $1 trillion market cap valuation and is up 30% on the week. The S&P 500 is at 6,000 for the first time ever, and there's a lot of craziness in multiple different ways, shapes, and forms in the market right now. It is still earnings season, so there will be a lot of action this week with that sense, but Jerome Powell is coming back to speak again, and we have corporate buybacks starting to ramp up. So we have a lot to talk about today, and towards the end of today's video, we have two big money trades, so make sure to stick with us. But besides that, Tom, let's get right to it.
Yeah, Mike, the markets are doing great. The SPY made new all-time highs on Friday and almost squeaked out that $600 mark, right? We saw SPX hit 6,000, but the SPY is just under 600. I'm waiting for that $600 mark to finally hit here, but something that did hit over the weekend was Bitcoin at that 80K mark. That was pretty awesome, and for most of you out there, you already know Bitcoin trades like 24/7, right? It never closes, so over the weekend, there's no closers or anything like that. So we saw some good movement on Saturday into Sunday here. So great job by Bitcoin, Mike. And I would guess that Bitcoin stocks are going to be looking great come Monday morning. They were looking great on Friday, and last week in general, again, as Coinbase was making highs and MSTR was trying to run up as well, at least on the week overall. MSTR had a fantastic move. So Bitcoin's been awesome, Mike, and I know crypto is something that has been really taking the market by storm here ever since Trump won and got that election victory. So it's been a great past week or so for Bitcoin and even some of the other crypto related, I guess, coins, right? Like XRP or even like Doge, which has had a lot of hype in the short term too.
True that. And for those of you who don't know, the main reason that Bitcoin is running up so much with the election is because Trump is trying to make America like the crypto capital of the world, and at least that's what investors are trying to perceive that as. So basically, there's a lot of momentum with crypto right now. Like Tom said, there are some stocks like Coinbase and MSTR that have been especially hot in the short term. So definitely keep these stocks close on the radar, along with Bitcoin and all other cryptos in general, because they are moving with a lot of momentum right now. And while they're moving with a lot of bullish momentum, understand that there will be opportunities in multiple different senses with this. Of course, riding the short-term bullish momentum with scalp plays is great, but also like when that tide eventually turns, there will be counter trend opportunities as well. Long story short, keep a close eye on crypto, but another area of the market that's been moving a lot right now is Tesla. As we know, Elon has been pretty closely involved in the political stuff in the short term, and Tesla stock, among many other stocks, had a great week last week, so much so that it crossed $1 trillion in market cap, which was great to see. It was up 30% on the week, and it was up 8% just on Friday. Tom, Tesla is ripping right now, and there's a lot of attention with this one.
There definitely is, and I couldn't believe that on Friday we crossed $300, but it wasn't just that. We ran all the way up almost to $330 at that point. Like, just the way that Tesla was rising was insane. I mean, I know it was only 8%. We've been dealing with a lot of stocks that have been moving way more than that lately, but whenever you talk about just a player that is as popular as Tesla is, this is what makes it so, I would say, extravagant. And also, Tesla also really ripped above that key $300 resistance, which was a huge level where Tesla has seen many peaks at in the past at this $300 level. So to really pass there and get that good move shows a ton of strength here on this stock. And I know Tesla has been pretty weak over the past couple of years. There's been a pretty bad trend line if we draw it from the top of Tesla's chart all the way to where it is now, but we've been seeing some pretty good moves up and out of that trend now, and we're starting to get that nice bullish momentum back. So I love to see it. A lot of people are again attributing this to the election win with Trump, but either way, I'm really glad to see Tesla moving, and whenever Tesla runs, it can have some amazing plays in the options market.
And like you said, it had some strong resistance overhead at 300, and it just ripped right through that and just went crazy. So looking at Tesla for this week, what are like the next like levels to keep in mind to the upside, but also the downside in case this trend does weaken?
Yeah, of course. Looking at the big levels here in the short term, we have to look at that high of day from Friday, right around that 329 mark, 330 mark. We'll say it's close enough, right? On a $300 stock, you got to give or take about $1 or so. But looking at Tesla here, that 330 mark is crazy. And if we go to the Bookmap, you can actually see that on Friday, that was a massive sell wall there. And of course, Tesla's been ripping through these sell walls as it did on Friday at the 320 mark and then that $300 mark. It keeps ripping up through resistance. So I'm going to be watching 330 very carefully. There's not really too much between 330 and 350. There's a little bit stacked up at 340, but you can really see 330 and 350 are the main two sell walls here on the Bookmap. So shout out to the X-ray vision there. But looking at Tesla's chart, as some key support, like I mentioned, 320 was a big level from last week. So I'm going to be watching that one as support. If Tesla ends up breaking and running down through there, I'll be watching it lower, as well as the wick right here, just under 316 to 316.75. So if we start to see those supports give out, that's where I'll start to become a little bit more bearish, and I'll be looking for that move down towards 310 and then 300. Of course, $300 is going to be the biggest psychological support coming up in the short term, and with how much momentum Tesla has, I don't even think that we'll test 300 next week, but you never know, because it's so volatile right now that we're probably going to see a bunch of up and down price action with some crazy candles.
The beautiful thing with Tesla right now is that it's moving with true momentum. So, of course, you just have to adapt and flow with those trend changes. But when you have the crucial levels that you listed, Tom, they act as like very important points of potential directional changes. So definitely keep Tesla close on the radar for this week. But Tesla is not the only stock that will be moving in a crazy way, as we are still in earnings season. So looking at the lineup for the week, there is a lot, as we can see by the the image now, but some stocks that will especially stand out, in my opinion, this week are Shopify on Tuesday before open, as well as some of these stocks that report after hours on Tuesday, like Kava and Spotify, and even ticker symbol OXY, which has been an interesting energy-related stock over the past week. Looking further into the week, we also have Disney and AMAT set to report on Thursday, which will be very interesting, as well as ticker symbol OKLO, which has been a very popular nuclear energy related stock in the short term as well. So pretty exciting week.
Yeah, it really is. I can't believe OKLO reports Thursday and after hours. It's pretty cool to see some of these more popular stocks in the short term reporting here this week. And I'm sure we're going to see some insane movement, especially out of some of these crypto stocks like MARA. That's going to be pretty crazy with all this crypto movement in the short term here. I would say that my favorite one of the week, Mike, people are going to flame me in the comments for this one. I already know it. It's Disney. I can't wait to see how they report. Everyone's going to flame me in the comments for that one. But nonetheless, there's a lot of fun ones this week. And even some like down the list here, like C Limited, ticker symbol SE, will be reporting Tuesday in pre-market. So definitely have the earnings calendar on the radar. But Mike, even the overall calendar this week is pretty crazy. Is the man, the myth, the legend, Jerome Powell, coming back to speak on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is not going to be an FOMC interest rate decision like we had last week. Those events are the most important. This week's event will be Jerome Powell essentially speaking with his, we'll call boring economic talk in Dallas. And it's just like a economic outlook, as we can see on the calendar. Whenever Jerome Powell speaks, it's very important because he is the most influential person in the entire world, especially for the stock market, but I'd even argue the global economy. Either way, important event at 3 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday for the week. But we also have some important data set to release on Wednesday, 1 hour before the market opens, and this is the CPI inflation data. As we all know, inflation has been a very hot topic over the past couple of years, and while it has toned down a bit, the war against it has not been won just yet, and this data release 1 hour before open on Wednesday will not only be important, but it will move the market.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit worried. Look at that consensus and forecast for the year-over-year number there. Now, this isn't for the core rate. It looks like they're looking for the core forecast and consensus to be right in line with the previous number of 3.3%. But with the year-over-year normal inflation rate, they're looking for it to go up by 0.2%. So that's pretty crazy there. Hopefully we don't see inflation pop up, because people are going to be like, oh my gosh, now you don't need to cut rates anymore. That's exactly what they're going to start saying out there. Let us know in the comments how you feel about inflation and the Federal Reserve cutting rates, because I know a lot of people have some pretty good opinions on that. And of course, we just had Powell talk last week, Mike, and the market continued to march higher. Powell was the hero once again, and hopefully this week we can see at least some of this data support this upwards move and help SPY get through that $600 mark.
Absolutely. And then another thing that I don't want to say is like on the schedule for this week, but it is something that is going to be very important over the coming weeks, is that corporate buybacks are going to start ramping back up again. Basically, we could see that corporate buybacks kind of cycle between like high periods and low periods, because essentially what you have is when you have all of these major companies report earnings like we are seeing this week, and as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, these companies have what's called a blackout period, where they make it where there are no buybacks and there's just like no trading with company shares a couple weeks before the company reports earnings, and then it ends after the company reports earnings to prevent things like insider trading and bad stuff like that. Long story short, now that a lot of companies have already reported earnings, a lot of these blackout periods are coming to an end, so corporate buybacks will start to ramp back up again, which is exactly what we're heading into right now, as we could see by that red box towards the bottom part of this image. So over the next couple of weeks, we will see stronger and stronger supportive flows come into the market. This will help a bit, and it is just something worth keeping in mind, and it is something worth knowing about. So that's awesome. But as we look at the market right now, Tom, we are just under $600 for SPY. What are the key levels and analysis heading into the week?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be worried about that $600 resistance holding up, so I'm going to be looking at a bunch of supports here on the SPY. Firstly, 597.50 is crucial. That's where we saw a ton of hits from Friday. There were a lot of wicks touching that level, so watch 597.50 as key support. Just under that, there's a bit of support range right around 596.50 to 596.70. I'll be watching that if we do end up breaking 597.50. And then, of course, underneath there, I'll be watching for 595 and 594, which were some big supports that we talked about last week, which ended up holding up very well in pre-market on Friday there. So I thought that was really good to see that 595 bounce and continuation higher. Now, everyone's worried about this $600 resistance. That's the main thing coming up here in the short term. After that, the main levels will be the whole dollar psychological levels to watch out for. Like, for example, I would say 602 and then 603 and 605 would be the main levels to watch overhead, but we're ahead of 600 will be in uncharted territory. So just keep that in mind. Levels will establish themselves overhead, and it might not be at those whole dollar marks. So just keep that in mind, but I really do like this $600 mark, and let me know in the comments if you think we're going to break it on Monday or not.
Like you said, like the skies are clear. Like after this like $600 level, like there are no like established resistance points, because the market is higher than it has ever been before. So like you said, you have to keep your eyes peeled for when the market does show signs of like some pushback and some sellers coming into play, because that does mean a lot, right? Because we are waiting for the market to establish new resistance. So we'll definitely keep close eyes on all the levels you said, and it'll be an exciting week. Another thing that I thought was worth bringing up is that when we look at some historical data, we could see that in like a broader sense, the market is doing really good right now. We could see right now in the chart, like each individual path that the market has taken for like over like the past like 30 years. And we could see that this year is definitely towards the upper end of that range. So we'll see, the stronger the market can hold up, the stronger and even more bullish flows that come into play, and the more people that become bullish and end up pushing the market even higher. So we shall see, but I think we're set for an exciting end to the year.
Yeah, this is awesome. I love to see this chart, Mike. I thought this was really cool to kind of put into perspective like how good this year has really been. And I didn't think it was this good, Mike, but hey, with all the good movement that we're seeing, I can't I'm not too surprised, especially with how much the spies ran up, but it is neat to see how good of a year it's been. And just going back to like the SPY daily chart, going back to the beginning of the year, SPY was all the way down around 460. People really, I think the SPY is very underrated. Everybody wants to day trade. They want to catch the big 500% gainers. I get it, but man, the safety, just parking your money in SPY and letting it grow, it's been so good over the past, obviously throughout history, but especially the past couple of years.
Especially when you have the Federal Reserve printing money like they are, right? Just new all-time highs every month. Let's go. But on a more serious note, yeah, it really has been a great year, and I think there will be a lot of opportunities in both directions going forward. But let's get right into some setups and predictions. A stock I'm watching very closely right now is ACHR, and it is to the upside. ACHR was a recent big money play, and this stock is showing some great momentum in the short term that I love to see. It was up over 11% just on Friday. They just released earnings, and the stock is also holding broader support at like that $3 area. And there's actually another big money play with this one that we will talk about as the video goes on, but ACHR will definitely be on my bullish radar, not only for tomorrow, but like over like this next week and even the coming months.
Yeah, this was awesome. I couldn't believe it on Friday, and at the high of day, it was up way more than 11%, too. It only closed at 11%. People were loving this one from Friday, and hopefully it can get back up and break that double top that it posted intraday. But like you said, we'll talk about this one a little bit more here coming up soon. With my next play, I'm looking at SMR. I know everybody's been talking about OKLO and all the other nuclear stocks lately. I will say SMR on Friday outperformed many others. It was up 13%. This is New Scale. They pretty much specialize in making SMRs, which are small modular reactors. If you didn't know, we've talked about it on the channel for about a month now, ever since the news hit the stream. But SMRs breaking out on the daily on Friday. It really ripped above that $23 resistance, and I'm really just looking for more good momentum to continue here. There's not really an exact level I'm looking for this one to break. It'd be nice for it to stay above $25, but the main thing is just seeing that good momentum and catching it in that moment. And I think for scalping, there's amazing opportunities for these nuclear stocks.
Beautiful. All right. Another stock that's definitely on my radar is PENN, P-E-N-N. This stock has been continuously making higher lows over the past couple of months, and it is in the process of building more bullish momentum. It was only up around like 1.3% on Friday, so nothing too crazy, but it doesn't yet have the amount of true bullish momentum that it has the ability to. Every now and then, this stock has some really good moves, but it takes something to actually build that momentum. Looking at PENN right now, it is getting towards the higher end of its range, around that like $21 to like $21.50 area. They just recently reported earnings as well, which is good to see. Long story short, they're in the process of building more bullish momentum. Their chart is pretty consistently bullish. The market overall is pretty strong, and if we do see a breakout that actually has some volume and power to it, the stock has the potential to move in a pretty strong way. This stock will definitely be on my bullish radar going forward, and it would be great if we could see a breakout above that like $21 to like $21.50 resistance area.
Yeah, that is a huge resistance overhead on PENN, and I'll be honest, I think it might break it in the short term with the way it's pushing back up there. I love the way the chart's setting up on the daily and how it's testing that for the third time now. It might actually break that double top, so I'll definitely keep it on the radar as well. With my next stock, I'm looking at Tesla, and how could you not in the short term, right? Good old Tessie up as much as it was Friday, 8%, and it's right around that key 330 mark. So going back to the Bookmap, we looked at this earlier. There is a huge stack of sellers sellers at 330. Once you break that, there's really not too much overhead besides 340 and 350. And, you know, if you catch a good $10 move on Tesla to 340, that'll be pretty good on the options market. So I'll definitely be watching for that 330 sell wall to break. And of course, shout out to Bookmap, right? I wouldn't have seen this sell wall any other way. And of course, even the other sell wall at 350, it's really good to have those levels in mind, especially when Tesla's moving $20 to $30 in a day.
Yeah, and then when you have 184,000 sellers or shares, you could say, lined up at 330, and then 240,000 lined up at 350, those are levels you don't want to ignore. So good stuff there, Tom. And let's jump right into today's momentum plays. With the first one, we have IONQ to the upside, and this one has been crazy lately.
It has, and it just keeps going. If it ends up breaking $25.70 right at the high of day from Friday, then keep watching it up. But you can tell whenever this stock does break out, it can have some pretty good runs.
All right, with the next one, we have Palantir also to the upside, and another one that's just been on fire.
Yeah, they keep going. I have to go to the daily chart really quick on Palantir because, oh my gosh, it just is not slowing down. It will slow down, though, so keep that in mind, guys. Don't get caught holding the bag. But if we break $59, watch it to the upside. Be aware, though, of the $60 resistance.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Coinbase also to the upside.
Coinbase, I love this one in the short term ever since the election. If they end up breaking out above 274, just above the high of day Friday, then keep watching them up as well.
Sounds good. So we have Coinbase, Palantir, and IONQ on watch for potential moves to the upside tomorrow, if and only if they break through the levels listed. The stronger and more consistent these stocks move, the better the setups become. But in the same way that there's a lot of bullish momentum with these stocks are also up a decent amount in the short term. So you have to make sure that if and when the trend eventually does change, you adapt and flow with that trend change, so you're not left holding the bag like many people get stuck with sometimes. You have to manage risk. You have to have clear stop loss levels. So definitely keep this in mind. These stocks are moving with a lot of momentum, though. So definitely keep them on the radar. And besides that, let's jump right into today's big money plays. And with the first one, we have a $1,080,000 trade with ticker symbol STNG. On Friday, the big money bought the dip with this one as they bought the $52.50 strike call options that expire on January 17th of 2025. Looking at STNG, this stock has been dipping, and it'll be very interesting to see how the $52.50 and $50 support levels hold up going forward. These options are in the money. They have a fair amount of time to them, and the big money's buying the dip here. So we'll see how if this stock can finally turn around or not.
Yeah, this one's been dipping for a while now, but whenever you zoom out, like on like a weekly chart even, it's like, oh my gosh, it's been dipping for a while, like literally since like 2010. So it's pretty wild, but it has been coming back since like 2022. Looking at this short-term dip though, it's very interesting with the big money buying this one up. This is one of those kind of set it and forget it type of plays for me, especially if it holds that $50 support, you know, maybe set an alert there. If it starts to give out, maybe look to cut. But nonetheless, I think it's interesting how they're buying up the dip here, and they're even getting in the money calls, right? It's not like they're way out of the money at $70 or anything like that. So I wouldn't think that they're shorting these, which gives me a little bit more confidence here.
Yeah, so definitely keep this one close on watch going forward. The big money's buying the dip here, and I'm excited to see how this stock will move going forward. But there was also another big money trade on Friday that was with ticker symbol ACHR. So basically, this stock is pretty interesting because this is the second recent big money trade on this one, and it is pretty bullish, just like the first one. The big money bought the $4.50 strike calls that expire on January 17th of 2025, and this is a $965,000 trade where the big money wants this stock to go up as much as possible. ACHR is already showing some good bullish momentum, and the stock has been moving in a pretty good way over the past couple of weeks. One thing that I thought was especially interesting with this stock is how bullishly skewed the options activity is with this one. When I was calling out this big money trade on Friday, there was 525,000 call open interest for this stock for all of its strike prices and all of its expirations, compared to a put open interest of 52,000. That is a huge discrepancy, and it gets even crazier when you hear the call volume coming in at 139,000 compared to only put volume of 5,400. So there's a lot of bullishness going on behind the scenes with this one, and I like how it's already showing some signs of moving in the right direction.
Man, Mike, that's pretty crazy between the calls and the puts there. And we have to realize that a lot of those puts were probably people selling the puts. So, they're probably bullish in the long run. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really, obviously we don't know how they were trading, but I would think that there'd be some of that going on right now with this stock starting to move and, getting well up off of some of the supports. But I really do like this one. There was a previous big money play called out on October 22nd with this one. We have another one here with the $4.50 strike. So looking good in the short term. Obviously, there is some resistance around this $4 mark with ACHR, so be a little bit aware of that. But come Monday, if we start to see another good rip up through that resistance, there could be a great continuation here. And let's say ACHR does dip for a minute, right? Like, let's say there is a little bit of a pullback. That might even make an even better entry here. So I'm definitely going to be eyeing this one up for the longer term, Mike. Again, it goes out till January 17th of 2025, so you have to give it a little bit of time. If you're looking just to day trade it or scalp it, I think that that's a great strategy, but it's just a different style setup from this.
Yeah, so definitely keep it close on the radar going forward. There have been two recent pretty big money trades with this one, and it's already moving in a pretty nice way. But before we continue on, we have to give a massive shout out to today's member of the day, Stuart in the Stocked Up trading floor, who had a great message on Friday and some awesome profits. It was his best week ever, and he said, "Thank you, Mike, Tom, Manny, and everyone else in the community. This is all being reinvested in long-term stocks. My future self will thank me, and thanks to Alex Karp as well." There we go, and huge shout out to you, Stuart, and yeah, shout out to Alex Karp as well. Seriously, as we look in the profits channel, it was a crazy week for so many people, which was awesome to see. So let's keep this momentum rolling. If you guys are into short-term trading, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to get full access to the trading floor, which includes access to our army of custom bots, our weekly live events. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long and connect with all of these other traders you see on the screen right now. It'll be that first link in the description and the comments down below, but it is an exciting time to be a trader. The market's at all-time highs. Bitcoin's at 80K. Earnings season is still rolling. Powell's speaking this week. We have inflation data set to report, and there's a lot of action in multiple different senses. Let's continue to focus on smart trading habits this week. And besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's make this week a great one.